So problem 140, we're taking a look at a complex number. This time it has I in the denominator, though, so we need to work with that. So using some of the hints that they give us here, first of all, I talk about using a conjugate. And if you remember, if we have a plus bi, the conjugate for that is going to be a minus bi. And when we multiply two conjugates together, complex conjugates that is, the i's will always cancel out, and we're going to end up getting a real number as a result. So for this particular problem, the denominator is negative 4 plus 7i, so the conjugate's going to be negative 4 minus 7i. So now, when we use this piece of information as well, I take my numerator, 3 plus 2i, and negative 4 plus 7i, and I multiply now both numerator and denominator by that conjugate. So, when we do this, this right here is essentially a giant 1, because they're the same thing. So I'm not changing the problem, because I'm multiplying the problem by 1. All I'm doing is changing the way it looks. So now what I need to do is multiply the numerators. So when I multiply these out, you can either make a generic rectangle or distribute. 3 times negative 4, I'm going to get a negative 12. I'm going to get negative 21i and a negative 8i for a total of negative 29i. And then when I multiply these two together, I'm going to end up getting a negative 14i squared. I squared is a negative 1, so this is a negative 14 times a negative 1, which ends up equaling a positive 14. All right, then what I'm going to do is taking a look at the denominator. I'm going to do the same thing. So now I'm going to have negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. I get a negative 4 times a negative 7i and a negative 4 times a positive 7i. Those end up equaling 0, so they cancel out. And then when I multiply 7i times negative 7i, I get a negative 49i squared, which, just like before, is a negative 49 times a negative 1, which is 49. So now when I simplify the numerator, I have like terms right there, so I'm going to get a positive 2 and a negative 29i divided by 65. So that is the answer to problem A. Well, problem B then wants us to take that answer and switch it up. So if I take a look at what my answer was, it was this right here, 2 minus 29i over 65. But we want to switch it from this form into this, because we want to get the A value, which is the real, and the B value, which is the imaginary part, and separate them. So I'm just going to break this into two separate fractions. One of them is going to be 2 over 65. That's the A part. And then negative 29 over 65i, that is then the B part.